Welcome back to this week's episode of Whoscussion. Again, we're going to be covering The Reviled, the next story in the Dark Eyes arc. Dark Eyes is kind of like taking a back seat as a concept throughout this series, I've found. Yeah, and Winter for the Adept, which is Nyssa and the Fifth Doctor. So The Reviled, it takes place pretty much after the last story, wherein the Doctor is kind of begrudgingly working-ish for the CIA. I don't know if he has done that since the Second Doctor's era in EU. I'm unsure, but it's kind of interesting. He's begrudgingly working for an organization he despises. There is a colony of humans that have landed on a planet called Ramosa, and as humans tend to do when they're doing being colonials, they didn't, especially when they're British, just throwing that out there, they weren't too great to the natives, and now the natives have turned the tides and aren't too great to them. The natives are afraid that the humans are going to get taken over by the Eminence and make them extinct. Cue the ominous. The Doctor finds that Liv Chinka's helping out the human colonists and keeping them around. The translation device that the Ramosans wear, I'm thinking that because they're described as like scorpion-esque, I'm wondering if they're like similar to the creature that Lucy was like fully racist to, and they realized that racism is dumb and don't do it.
No, I feel like what they're more like is probably like a big what's the word I'm looking for here?
Like Scorponok from Beast Wars?
Kinda, maybe. So they've got many arms. Mm-hmm. So I'm imagining like 3 sets of arms, and they're a little bit larger than a normal being, with a big like insectoid head, but with mandibles.
Oh, I like that design. It reminds me of Deathclaw from the older Final Fantasies.
Because it's said that they have the translation matrix like stuck in between those two, like it's a voice box in between them.
Ah, right. Okay, I see.
That obviously the humans have given them, which is kind of cool.
Right. So yeah, these people, they've put them in camps, which I mean is like, come on, Ramosa, come on, don't learn that trait from us, please. They've put them in camps, and Livchenko is the bone cutter,
Doctor is the bone cutter.
Yeah, sorry, Doctor is the bone cutter, and but Liv's called the bone cutter as well because she's Dr. Livchenko, but so the human she's medtech. Yeah, I'm pretty certain they call her bone cutter before the Doctor turns up. Okay. And the Doctor's like, that's an interesting translation, but it works. Livchenko's helping them out. The Doctor turns up and sees that Sally Armstrong, or Strong Arm, as the translator, he's doing it. She's like, are you doing that on purpose? He's like, no, I'm definitely not doing that on purpose. And I'm like, I think you are, kiddo. The Doctor turns up and is like, you should trust Sally. And Sally's like, don't trust the Doctor. And he's like, hey, which of you are you going to trust more? And he's like, well, I don't trust either of you, so how about that? I was like, fair call. The Doctor ends up meeting up with Liv, and Liv's like, hey, I got given these antidotes by the Time Lords. And the Doctor's like, is that what your scanner's telling you? Yep. I'm going to sonic screwdriver it. What's your scanner telling you now? Oh, it's straight up poison. The Doctor's like, it sure is, kiddo. And he's like, man, the Time Lords really would have preferred to kill these people and then let the Master take them. And the Doctor's pretty miffed because it's 100% the Time Lords' fault the Master's even involved. I legitimately, if I was the High Council, I'd be like, bring somebody clearly evil back to life from the Matrix, or that renegade that's helped us before. And then the High Council were like, I'm thinking...
Yeah, but at the same time, they wanted to control the Eminence to kill the Daleks, right?
Yeah.
The Doctor would not have let that happen.
No, he wouldn't have let that happen. But he probably would have stopped both of them.
Cough, get off my season, man.
Yeah.
There are less bad renegade Time Lords.
Yeah. I think even the Rani would be probably a better choice, if I'm being honest, because she's not insane. And she's a scientist. Yeah, I suppose. And she's got that whole, like, I want to be a princess complex, because that's what the Rani means. So that's interesting. I don't know. Anybody was better than the Master, I think.
Yeah, pretty much.
Especially since, like, they brought him back, and he's like, I'm goofy. And they're like, oh, cool. Okay, wonderful. I think we made a good choice here, guys. And I'm like, yep, cool. Yeah, I agree too. Let's go send him out into the field. Oh, he betrayed us instantly. Awesome. So the Doctor's trying to pretty much keep everything together, making sure the Ramosans and the humans don't have a conflict. And Liv's like, about that, the humans fully want to revolt. And the Doctor's like, that's wonderful. Awesome. That's 10 out of 10. And he's like, gotta love humans, eh? You guys are full of surprises. Chiefly the surprise of killing people. So awesome. He's like, Liv, okay, there's a spaceship that can get everybody out of here. I want you to shepherd people onto there. The Eminence are probably going to turn up and be real grumpy. I'm going to go sort that all out. Meet back in 5. And she's like, cool bananas. They go off. She goes to the ship and she's like, yay, let's shepherd the humans on. The Doctor's like, look at those humans being shepherded on. I'm doing such a good job right now, smiling to himself. He's like, hey, Remosans, I'm saving the humans. You don't have to worry about them now. Don't have to kill them. The Eminence won't come and be grumpy. And the Eminence is like, we're grumpy. And he's like, oh, I clearly didn't think this through correctly. And then the Eminence start killing all the Remosans. The Infinite Warriors turn up and are just laying the smackdown. And the Remosans are putting up a hell of a good fight, I must say. The Doctor's like, no, please. Please, can you stop? And the Eminence is like, no, because they're of no use to me, and we're all about like superb resource management. So we're gonna get rid of these guys. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The Doctor's like, that's cool, awesome. I've not done a particularly good job today. So he hops back to the TARDIS, and he's like, hey, Liv, how are you doing? How are the humans? And she's like, oh, where are they? He's like, I literally just saw them. Oh, it's the Master's TARDIS, isn't it? She's like, that's great. So the Master's TARDIS is like, woo, and disappears, and he's like, hey, have you seen Legopolis? And Liv is like, no. And he's like, well, I should have. Let's just say that. So he's like, Liv, get out of there. Let's go. And Liv's like, man, I can't believe all this bad stuff happened. She's like, yeah, the Master won again. I'm not liking this Dark Eyes cereal too much because I don't keep winning. And she's like, yeah, didn't you lose? And that's the whole reason Dark Eyes began. He's like, you scamp. And he's like, I've got an idea. And she's like, what is it? I just fully told my friend Lucy that I don't want to be 7, but I'm really, really super angry again, and I'm totally going to be 7. Let's go back to the beginning and skew the timelines. And Liv's like, I thought we weren't allowed to do that. And he's like, who even cares anymore? And then he disappears.
I don't even care anymore.
Yeah, like,
also, I'm gonna disassemble my TARDIS in front of you so Navin can't get inside.
Yeah.
Randomizer, bitch.
Yeah, he's like, randomizer! And Navin's like, please, I'm not evil. God, man, I need to stop giving people a reason to think I'm evil. Like being evil. Man, I gotta sort this out. And Leela's like, hey, remember when I told you to stop being a knob? This stuff happens when you're a knob, by the way. He's like, that is a fair call, Leela. You go back to our own spin-off, thank you. All right, we don't want you in Dark Eyes. And that's that. I really liked this story. I like it. I like stories where, like, I don't know, this is weird. I'm like, must be such a strange person, but I like stories where the hero actually loses. I don't know why that is. I think it's because it like gives them that incentive to try again. And the Doctor's...
It's the Payback feel.
Oh, okay. So this is an actual phenomenon.
No, I'm just saying that like that's basically the deal, right? Is that when the story gets like to the worst, then you're so psyched for the next episode because you're like, it can't stay that bad, right?
Yeah.
No.
But Dark Eyes has a track record of the Doctor not doing too well.
Yeah.
Peter just chopped his arm. Oh my god. So I don't know where 8's going to go with this, because the last time he tried to like revert timelines, the Celestial Intervention Agency turned up and ruined a young Irish girl's life forever, so that she grew up to become a weapon for the Time Lords. So who even knows if a Time War's coming? They certainly thought that's what was going to happen before Moffat pulled the rug out from under their feet, that's for sure. So I thoroughly enjoyed the story. I thought it was quite good, but I want to grab everybody's thoughts. I'm going to start with Harriet Skelly, come back for Late Crows, wrap it up myself, and we'll move on to the next story. Harriet Skelly.
Yeah, this one was really interesting. I do like the elements of Empire Strikes Back is just things going really, really worse. And the funniest thing about it is that I could tell immediately that it was going to get really bad. I didn't kind of grasp how bad it was going to get. Basically, as soon as there were like humans in camps with insect people, I'm like, the Doctor's going to show up. He's going to try to fix it. It's not going to go as well because humans are going to mess it up. And then he's just going to lose everything. And I'm like, oh, that's what happened. Which is, it's both good and bad for me. Like I like being surprised, but at the same time I don't like having things laid out in front of me. It's weird. It's no,
I totally get that.
I still enjoyed it because obviously the Doctor and Liv and everything that was going on. And the idea of the insect people were very interesting to me. The Eminence as well is pretty amazing. As he just shows up and he's like, I hate you guys. Where's my humans? And they're like, they're not here. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna destroy you all anyway. And the Doctor's like, oh, I didn't realize that you were an idiot, God. And he's like, yeah, I totally am. Yeah.
That's legitimately how it went down. He was like, why do you want to kill them? I promised you that you wouldn't do that. He's like, legitimately, why did you promise them that? I don't know.
Yeah. So that's basically what happened. It was very interesting down that sort of line. I definitely had a good time. I'd say that you were too, but it is very much more of a lead into what's to happen. So it wasn't so much like stuff actually happening. It was just a whole bunch of other stuff. But it is great to see more of the Doctor losing, just so he can finally get himself up.
Yeah. He's like, I need a 7 right now, and Liv's like, I met 7. He didn't seem too bad. Ha, you didn't meet late 7. That's where you went wrong there. So, the Late Crow, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm just kind of really just echoing what's been said. It's a good time. Any time with Ace is a good time. Not necessarily for his companions or the people around him, but for the audience, it's a good time. Liv is always good. I like that she'll just kind of, no matter where she is, she'll just drop in and start to help out. I love her character. It's awesome.
Yeah, even though she's like actually horribly dying on the inside, she's like, sweet, we're gonna help people.
Yep. As you said, the Ramosans were a good time. Just kind of what the Big Finish does is that, obviously being audio, they let you kind of imagine how things look for yourself, and I think that really plays out well with creatures like this. It's good. I do love the Master's always a good time. He doesn't really feature too much in the story, but when he's around, it's a good time.
Yeah.
I do like it. I do like at the end when he's talking after he's shepherded off all the people, which I didn't see coming. So that was a bit of a jaw-dropping moment for me as a listener when that went down. That was quite
The Logopolis scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was because like when Liv was like, they're not on here, and the Doctor's like, and then I'm like, oh, Logopolis, and it was.
Yeah. But yeah, you're definitely right about this version of the Master being like a good John Sim Master, where he's welcoming all the people to his TARDIS and directing them about the place. Maikasa, Ukasa, blast them down that way, shelves that way. Yes, Master. And then he just, like, as soon as they're all gone, he turns to Sally and he's like, oh God, these bloody humans.
Remind me to sanitizers.
The pun that he makes as well, where he's like, he's talking about the imminence and, oh, it doesn't have a nose. And then she's like, how does it smell? And then he's like, terrible. Like, no! You're despicable. You're a despicable master.
I love this incarnation. The Alex McQueen Master is fantastic. And because it's an incarnation cycle that was adapted from New Who, but still kind of a blank slate. So they've got like a blank slate master as well, which is fantastic.
And they're really having a ball with that. I feel like they must have a party whenever New Who drops a loose thread. They're like, oh, we're going to have fun with that loose thread.
We're going to pick that up.
Then New Who people are like, oh, we left that line about, oh no, that would actually imply that New Who writers actually look at Big Finish. This story was a good time. Loved it to pieces. Yeah.
Right, okay. So I liked the reveal. I came to it not really knowing what to expect. This last episode was like, it wasn't a clip show, but presented in a clip show format. So in the 90s, TV shows, when they were like, they had to fill a space in the season, they'd have a clip show episode. Rugrats did it. The Simpsons did it. Simpsons did it. Quite a few shows would have the whole clip show. Graham Norton does that as well. They do clip show episodes. It's really, really bizarre. And I've not really understood the mentality behind that, but I suppose it's a saver. And for me, I felt like last episode was presented in that way, even though you were getting new information. So I was coming into this one like, how are they going to present this? Because Big Finish are just trying things at the moment, which, I mean, fair enough. You got the Time War removed from from 8. They're like, bugger, we need a course correct right now. I really wish they didn't have to, but I like where this is going. I love that, like, Liv's back. The 8's just like, I'm going to save you, Liv. And she's like, how? He's like, I'm probably going to distort your timeline because I don't even care anymore.
I don't give a...
So with that, guys, we're going to jump into Winter for the Adept. This was a bit of a slow burn for me. It's still good. I feel like, though, it was a slower burn than even Sirens of Time. So I felt like there was a bit of a... I don't know. If it was, maybe this is this writer's... Oh, it can't be this writer's first story. It's Andrew Cartmel. Andrew Cartmel, why did you let me down? All right? Andrew Cartmel...
It's still good.
It's still good. Slow. Yeah, it's just really, really slow. Which is weird, because my favorite movie of all time is Gone with the Wind, and nothing's slower than that film. That film was molasses. But... Winter for the Adept is told from another character's perspective, though there are parts in the story where that's not actually possible at all. But this character gives an opening narrative. They're like, hey, I had this terrible winter, and then I met this magical man with a box. And I was like, oh, okay. And then they jump into the story, and Nissa appears at this all-girls school in the snow. This police officer's like, hey, what are you doing out here in the snow? She's like, I actually don't know. I was with my friend, and then I wasn't anymore. They go inside this facility, this all-girls school, and Nissa is like, hey guys, what's going on? There's a woman called Miss Tremaine who I loved. She was the stereotypical crazy Christian character, and I don't know why I love those characters for some reason, where they're like, it's all the Bible! And it's like, no, it's not. Alright, you're just crazy. But Miss Tremaine, she's there being all like, oh, the Bible says you're evil, girl, therefore you're evil. And this is like, I don't entirely think I was ever mentioned in their book, but all good. And so Nissa gets to know these characters, Peril and Allison. Peril is played by India Fisher, so I swooned as soon as she started talking. I was like, oh, India Fisher.
Yeah, I knew you would.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, India Fisher, yes. So India Fisher was like, hello, I'm India Fisher. And I was like, yeah, no, thank you. So Peril is a 1963 all-girls school, and she comes off as a bit ditzy, but as the story progresses, it's a facade. It's a character she's like created to protect herself, I feel. But the story, even though I complained about it being a slow burn, I think it's still a good time. The doctor finally turns up and he's like, hey Nissa, hello. And this is like, where the hell have you been? He's like, I've been trying to find you. And this is like, I have a hard time believing that's true. I feel like you threw me out here and then you started doing some experiment, then came and found me. He's like, that is 100% what happened. So he turns up and he's like, hey, what's been going on? And this is like, yeah, poltergeist stuff. And he's like, ghosts aren't real. And she's like, I know. I actually know that. And he's like, sweet. So we need to find out why this real ghost exists. And this is like, I feel like we're not having the same conversation here, Doctor. As the story continues, the Doctor's doing a whole bunch of investigating. Miss Tremaine's getting more and more insane because they're breaking her beliefs by doing all this like crazy, nonsensical, fantastical stuff that's not in her book, the Bible. So she's not having a great time, and she gets more and more insane as the story progresses, as her grip on what she believes to be reality slips away. There's another character, I can't remember her name now. She was just French. I'm going to call her the French lady. So the French lady was like, oh mon Dieu, I'm French. And, Millet Maupassant. Yeah, Madame Maupassant. So that's her. She's like, I'm French, going around being all French. And as the story progresses, the Doctor's trying to figure out what the hell's going on here. He ascertains that Peril must be psychic. And he's like, hey, do you come from a family of psychics? So Peril is like, are you insane? And he's like, no. But you come from a family of psychics, don't you? And she's like, that is 110% accurate information. And he's like, cool, awesome. I think Allison's probably psychic too. I know what's going on. Hey, so Nissa, you remember the spillages? And she's like, how in the hell can I forget? Because when last time you investigated them, I ended up here in the snow in 1963. He's like, that is a fair reason to be grumpy right now, Nissa. However, I think they're here and they're trying to open a portal. And she's like, using psychics and a ghost. And he's like, yes. So he's like, hey, we're going to have a seance. They have a seance. And the ghost turns up. And this is like, but ghosts aren't real. And the Doctor's like, yeah, but he's not actually a ghost. He's a metaphysical manifestation of energy that has the consciousness of a person who's been deceased. And this is like, so a ghost. And he's like, yes. So, kinda. It's not, you gotta remember ghosts aren't real in our universe, Nissa. And she's like, yeah, I know, but he's a ghost. We're literally talking to him. So he's invisible. It's this disembodied voice, but I love the voice actor. I loved his dialogue. I thought he was like just this genuinely like full of life guy who ironically was dead. It reminds me of the pianist in Corpse Bride, who's a full skeleton, but is the most lively character in the whole film. And so I like their juxtaposition of a character situation and who they are, if handled correctly. Like, so not like Torchwood, like Big Finish. And so the Doctor, the ghost, and the girls, they start fighting off these spillages creatures. We find out that Peril's boyfriend is actually a spillage creature, and Madame Maupassant is a creature as well. And the Doctor's like, I'm going to defeat you guys with psychic powers. So the girls and the ghost pick up this table with their mind and cannon fire at this one person and crush them against the wall. And Peril's like, oh shit, we just killed the shit out of that creature, but in like polite English. But she legitimately, if it was right now, those are the words she would have used. And so the creature's ultra dead. And I love how Big Finish can get away with the like insane violence. They're like, you can't see it, therefore it didn't happen. Sweep under the rug. And the Doctor's like, okay, it should be closing. And then the lieutenant's like, I'm actually evil. And Peril's like, oh, I've been kissing a creepy monster man. The Doctor's like, yes. So he shoots Peril, and Peril I thought was going to go down like Charlie and just be dead, but it starts an avalanche. Sorry, my apologies. I'm so sorry. But not as sorry as I was listening to that story, let me tell you. So the avalanche comes, and the Doctor's like, you're dead now. And he's like, oh no, I'm dead. And then we get the dimensional, the Empress of the Spillage creatures and the Commodore. They're like, something's wrong with the ship. And the Empress is like, oh, the Doctor defeated us. And the Commodore's like, what does that mean? She's like, oh, we're going to die. And he's like, surely there's a way to escape. And she's like, if there was, I would use it. And they blow up and die. And Alison's like, I'm making a wish on that shooting star. And the Doctor's like, that's fully dead people. That's not a shooting star. And she's like,
those people we just ruined.
yeah, we just killed the ever-loving crap out of interdimensional beings. And she's like,
I just made a wish on it. And he's like, oh, what was it? And she's like, I can't tell you, otherwise it won't come true. It's like, it wasn't a shooting star.
No, it wasn't a shooting star. They're literally dead. So the Doctor's like, hey guys, and Peral's like, I'm alive. And then this is like, how is she alive? And Big Finish were like, how is she alive? She's alive because of Big Finish. And they're like, okay, cool, that's a good enough explanation, because it's essentially the explanation they give. She's just alive because Big Finish said so. And this is like, oh, well, what are we going to do with the ghost? And the ghost is like, yeah, what am I going to do? And the Imperial's like, why don't you just come live with me and terrorize my mum? And he's like, sweet ass. So they all jump into the TARDIS, and he's like, cool, let's get away from the scary school. And then this is like, your TARDIS isn't working properly. He's like, hey, you know how I promised you guys home for Christmas? What about Boxing Day? And then that's the end of the story. I said it was a slow burn, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think the character introduction at the beginning could have been maybe trimmed down a bit and be more concise, because I felt like there was a whole lot of dead air where it was just incidental music. So I don't know what that was about. It was experimental, but again, I enjoyed the story. Your thoughts of the late Crow, and I'll come back for Harriet's Galleys.
I agree with you. It did take a little bit to get into it, but once things started going down, it was a good time. One thing I love about Five, and just in general, his sort of stories, is that I almost feel sorry for him, because he's the nicest Doctor, and yet oftentimes his stories roll out with like the highest body count. Yeah,
especially like the what are they called? Warriors of the Deep, when literally 2 races are wiped out forever.
Like that moment when they're checking stuff out outside and the helicopter comes in and just everyone on the helicopter is totally dead. And Doctor's like, damn it. Oh well. Yeah, that was a good time. I love his introduction to the story, because it doesn't appear for quite a while. I think it's about a good 20 minutes until the Doctor actually comes into the story. And when he does, it just totally, as you say, flips out Tremaine's world. It's like a box appearing out of nowhere. This hellspawn. And the Doctor's like, that totally wasn't me. And this is like, and just everyone's like, but everything stopped when you appeared. Like, well, maybe it could have been me, but it's probably not me. Let's investigate more to see if it's not me. and that's a good introduction. Again, the violence is great. Like when French lady turns into a spillage monster and she's totally crushed by a piano.
Yeah. And Peral's like, how are my powers passive? And the Doctor's like, they just are. And she's like, you call that passive? And he's like, yes.
And I love that who was it? The other guy just comes in and is like, oh dear, that's actually disgusting. But that's the only thing he says about it. It's like, disgusting. And just the noises they had, just the squishy noises.
Yeah. Big Finish's fatality noises are great.
Just left with this image of this gross, absolutely messy stuff leaking out from under the piano. It's a good time. It's almost like someone was playing Doom before it was released. We listened to sound effects, and it's like, we want this for our sound effects when someone dies. But yeah, overall, I definitely enjoyed this. Although that being said, let's be honest, when has Big Finish produced something we haven't enjoyed? In all honesty.
Yeah, that's a good point. They didn't write that one comic that Harry Scott didn't like, so yeah. That's fair enough. And I've gone back and reread it, and I totally see where Harry Scott is coming from. So yeah, I don't know. I think Sirens of Time just suffered from teething issues. It was the first time they got the license. But I mean, they've just gotten better and better, essentially. And this is Andrew Cartmell's first Big Finish. So I think for him, it was trying to get to terms with the platform. And again, it's not bad. It just had that bit of a slow burn.
Yeah. That slow start was a bit.
Yeah, it was hard.
It was only because of the voiceover stuff that was happening. Really, that basically you get rid of that and it was fine. Like basically, as soon as she stops talking about this voiceover stuff that she's doing, you immediately get properly immersed.
Yeah, it's a way better story.
There's this fantastic wind sound of the blizzard coming in that like really sets the mood for the whole thing, and then just immediately it's sorted. You're in there, and then like you don't really notice when it stops. When they stop putting in the sound as well, like you don't fully grasp that. The audio design is fantastic, and that's the main thing for them really is the audio design. That's obviously the thing they're going to be the best at, and they really do knock that out of the park. But then on top of that, they make good stories as well.
Yeah.
So, come on, guys.
Should we be
How
good
can
at
you do
both or one of the aspects? I don't know. I don't really want to be Torchwood. What even is Torchwood? 5 years from now, I think.
So yeah, basically, yeah, just it's a really good one. If you're in for like a slow burn sort of deal. If you're not like particularly keen on like starting right away but getting slowly immersed, then yeah, start with that. But it's the voiceover at the start is just like you're not really sure. You're like maybe not.
Yeah,
that's really it. Like otherwise it was great. I mean, as much as psychic energy is one of those things, which is I really should have brought this up in part A around to the last man, because I did mention this as well. As much as psychic energy is like a real pseudo sci-fi thing to add into stuff, I don't think it's really that necessary to continue having it in Doctor Who, other than the fact that magic literally exists.
Yeah, I suppose, but it is. I mean, the Time Lords are a psychic race, so
yeah. I mean, psychic energy is fine. It's fine for them to have psychic power, like aliens and Time Lords and stuff. But for humans to have it, and for the idea of ghosts to exist and the psychic energy,
but he's not a ghost.
Well, he's a psychic projection of being basically connected to this house, right?
Yeah.
To this, he's because of human psychic energy, right?
Yeah, but like a Pokemon, he's been captured by Peril.
Basically, but in To the Last Man in particular, they talk about how like the events at the hospital is what like has generated this extreme temporal event as well, just because of all the bad energy behind it. But the thing is that if bad energy and bad things had the ability to do that, if we had that psychic energy enough, then pretty much anywhere in the world would consistently be covered in this stuff.
Yeah.
Like any place of world wars, many mental institutions that we had, they would all be just riddled with this bad energy, right? And that's like the thing about like ghosts as well, is like the reason why we're pretty sure that ghosts don't exist is because they would be everywhere. There's more dead people in our history than there are people alive. So if there are ghosts, they should be everywhere. So it's not completely terrible. I'm fine when it gets used right, and in this circumstance it was, because it was basically saying some human beings do have.
Yeah, it was an evolutionary trait for some families,
which is fine considering that in the Who universe,
and only women can be psychic.
Yeah, in the universe, humans are technically evolving to reach Time Lords, which have psychic abilities. So it's fine for humans to be evolving to that point. That makes sense, and it's fine in the way that they've done it. That they're basically saying that ghosts don't exist, but he exists because he had enough psychic residual stuff going that Peril was able to cause it to take effect properly. So it's
do you think she pulled him out of the void?
No. I think she just took an image of him that was left behind. So he's probably still totally dead.
Yeah. He's like that $2 shop version of the Matrix we make in the far future.
Yeah, exactly. He's absolutely. But probably even worse, because it's not even like she grabbed a perfect image of him.
Yeah, she just grabbed like his consciousness. Like.
Yeah. So good times. But no, it's so that works because it's her psychic energy that causes this stuff to happen. But particularly in To the Last Man, it's weird that they even bring this up, because obviously the paradox could just cause itself normally. It doesn't have to be caused by psychic energy. And the idea of
if the rift exists, why are they talking about psychic energy? Just say the rift is the reason it's happening.
Yeah, so it's really odd that they bring it up, and basically it serves when you try to bring it up in any circumstance and not use it like they did in Winter for the Adept, it serves to only cheapen the experience.
Yeah, camp, right?
So it's not really camp it. It's just that it doesn't make any sense. Like when you've got a story and you've got time to explain it, then you can make it make sense. Like it makes sense in Winter for the Adept, where it's like you've got psychic abilities. It's gone down in your history. Your friend's got a little bit of psychic abilities, so you've like conjoined like a Wicca pact and managed to sort out your powers basically. Also, this consciousness you've got has got epilepsy, and that's why you get even more powerful with him around. It's nice, succinct facts, right? That even though scientifically that might not be really the case, it still like makes sense in its own narrative,
and they've backed themselves up.
Yeah, but when you've got temporal events happening, and then you just say, psychic energy, and then you've got nothing else. So it's like,
yeah, you just heard John Barrowman turning around with the camera. Psychic energy. Exactly. I'm John Barrowman.
So yeah, it really goes to show that this is really where Big Finish really succeed better than everywhere else is that they actually are kind of understanding of how story structure is supposed to take place. And even just in a science fiction way, with the, if you want to have something sciencey happen or something even not sciencey happen, you've got to keep hitting it home. Otherwise it doesn't work in your story, because people will just be like, no, because it doesn't work for these reasons. You've got to give more evidence, even if it's not like irrefutable evidence. If you give something, which is exactly what they do, they don't like outright say that ghosts exist or anything like that. They just have the doctor say these things could be the reason why, and that's all you need. You just need the doctor to say that. You just need your main character to say it, and it's done. You've got enough evidence.
And don't make it throwaway, because the doctor goes back to that throughout the story. He's like, the reason these are happening is because of these building blocks I built earlier in the narrative.
Yeah, and then brings up like the first word that he said, which basically got out of the TARDIS. Like, it's so succinct in the story, even though like the beginning was slow. The rest of the story is so succinct that it works. It all works. And
which is so weird, because the end, when they do the same thing as the intro, it's so much more interesting. I was like, how did you guys screw up the beginning?
Yeah, so that's basically it. Is listen to Big Finish, disregard New Who.
And I'll back that up, because New Who's done even better in Big Finish. Like, the 10th Doctor adventures are fantastic. They're like, what if, just throwing this out the gate, what if Jackie was the companion for the first story? Done, fixed. You just fixed New Who, well done. Yeah. All right, okay, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us for Whoscussion this week. Next week we're going to be doing more Torchwood, but hopefully, I don't know. I'm holding out like Bonnie Tyler. I'm holding out for a hero. Okay. We'll see you next week.